Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're just gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of the coloring and the highlights for this demon lady. So let's just go ahead and jump into that right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and start off with her hair. I'm starting with the mid-tone this time. I've talked about this before in a previous video, but when I do the hair, I typically go light to dark, just because if I just lay down the darkest color first, I tend to lose the highlights, and I like a lot of highlights in the hair, so I'm putting down the mid-tone first this time, instead of the lightest color. I don't know why I decided to do that. I don't know if you guys are also artists. I'm assuming you are if you like to watch art videos or you're just like art appreciators, but my art process is not consistent. I try to keep it as consistent as possible, just so that way I can achieve consistent results. I'm not great at consistency, though. We've talked about this in the past. So as much as I try to stay consistent, I'm not always great at it. So instead of starting with the lightest color like I usually do with hair, I just started with the mid-tone this time. But to achieve the feathery look, I'm just flicking my hand so that way I could get a more, what's it called? Oh gosh, feathery look, I suppose. I'm trying to make it look like hair, if that makes sense. I don't draw hair with individual strands, and not to say that you shouldn't do that, but it's probably a bit more effective if you try to draw your hair as chunks, because even though your hair is made up of individual strands, if you look at it, your hair is like falling in like chunks, especially if you have curls, like your hair falls in like little ringlets. If you have waves, your hair also falls in like sections. Even if your hair is straight, your hair is gonna fall into sections. So it's gonna be easier to draw if you're breaking up into chunks. That's what I do here. I try to break it up into chunks that I feel like make sense with the way that I've drawn the hair. I struggle a little bit when I do it for the center part of the hair, just because I always struggle with separating the part in the hair and the bangs. I don't have bangs. I have curly hair, so I don't have bangs. I guess I could have bangs with curly hair. It's not my vibe, but other people can make it look nice. So I don't really have. I have like a reference personally for the way that bangs are come out of your head, and how they should be shaded. If I looked up a reference, that would help me out. Which is why I say you guys should look up reference if you need reference. But I didn't look up a reference. I was just winging it, same as always. Which I wouldn't recommend because it makes your art look kind of like haphazard. But hair is kind of like nebulous in a little bit of a way, so I don't really mind doing it with the hair. And you'll see later, I actually accidentally kind of maybe do it with her bodice shirt type thing. I'll talk about it more when I get to that part, but I also was winging it on the shirt. And I feel like if I just pulled up a reference, I would be able to, make it look better. But I recorded this early in the morning and I was tired. And I'm still tired. But you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about art. So yeah, after I finish off the mid-tone of the hair, I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with my darkest color. I just feel like when you're going dark to light, I feel like the contrast is a bit better. Like the highlights are stronger than if you're laying down all of your light color and then going with the mid-tones and then with the darkest colors after that. I feel like that's a much softer look, which I like for the skin. I like the skin to have a much softer look. So if you had watched the previous video I did on coloring her skin, actually that's not true. I laid down the darkest shadows for her skin this time, but usually I like to go light to dark with the skin, just because I think it gives it a softer look. I laid down the darkest shadows with the skin first this time was because I wanted more contrast. So I feel like going dark to light makes it have a little bit more contrast. So if you're like me and you're like, I need to practice contrast more because you forget to make your shadows dark enough. I recommend a dark to light coloring because just because you're like, I gotta put those dark shadows in there. And I just made her hair dark just because it would contrast more with her lighter skin tone. Um, and also in my last drawing, this is a redraw. Her hair was dark. Um, but I think her plan was always for her hair to be dark. I don't know. I guess I just associate demons with dark hair. Now that I think about it, when I draw like demon characters, their hair is usually black. So I think that's like a bias I have to think about for myself. Honestly, I think it's just because I'm uncreative because, black and red is like the classic sort of demon color scheme. And if I was more creative, I could think of other color schemes. Not that the only demons I've ever drawn have just been black and red, but several of them have just been black and red. Several of them have also just have like had blue skin or pink skin, but the hair is always darker than the skin tone. Maybe I'll shake it up with the next demon I draw. I don't know when that's gonna be, but it'll probably be soon. Like little cutesy demons are one of my favorite things to draw. And like Harajuku demons, which is like the type of Japanese fashion where it's just supposed to be like counterculture fashion. Specifically I like Dekoraki, because it's like super detailed. I had this phase where I was trying to make my art super detailed, so I was like, well, I'll make a Dekoraki little demon drawing because I like to draw demons. And so if you guys have seen Dekoraki, they wear like a bunch of accessories in bright colors. And I know it's really hard to tell because from my art, you guys have only been seeing me color in like these monochrome pieces with just like flashes of color. But usually when I draw, I like to use lots of bright colors. And so I was like, okay, bright colors and lots of accessories. I struggle with adding lots of details to my art. As you can see, this little lady, she's pretty simple. She's only got like an earring and that's about it. But I was doing those decor key demons just because I thought it would help me do a lot more details in my heart. And so they're still not super, super detailed, but they had a lot more detail than I usually did. And so when I was doing them, I was like, there's a reason why I don't do a lot of details in my art. And it's because I sort of kind of hate it. Not to say that I didn't like the way that the art came out. I actually think that they look really good when they're done. It's just that I don't like to make line art. I think I've talked about this before, but line art is my least favorite stage of the art process because it's less fun than sketching, because sketching you get to come out with the idea, right? And it's less fun than coloring because coloring you get to see it come to life. Line art is just like the middle step that you gotta do so you can get to the other steps. The stuff that you like more. I know I don't have to do line art. But like I said, I do struggle with contrast. So without the line art, there's not enough really contrast personally for me. If I practice my contrast, maybe one day I will be able to skip the line art stage. But for now, I feel like my art needs line art. So when I'm doing more detailed pieces, I have to take about twice as long to do the line art, and it's torture. And then I'm like, I don't want to do this. I want to be done already. I'll come back to this tangent for a second. I just figured I'd tell you. The next part of the hair that I'm doing is I'm just going over the super bright white highlights with my lightest color. I did say that I like to have what's it called? Lots of contrast in the hair with the highlights. But I didn't want to have it just be white personally. Because I don't know, it felt like it's kind of too much. Your hair does not really have lots, unless you're like under like a really, really bright light. The highlights in your hair are not going to be like a stark white. So I just, what's it called? I just chilled those highlights out a little bit. There's still a good amount of contrast though, so I don't think it's that bad. And so then after we finish off those eyebrows real quick, we're going to move into the eyes. For eyes, I did the same thing. I just do dark to light. I just think that it looks better. I just think that when you do dark to light, the colors bleed together a little bit better, in my opinion. And I like that sort of look for the eyes. The eyes are really small just because she's got like that half-lidded stare or whatever. And when I do the shadows on the eyes, I try to make them kind of dark just to show that her her eyelids are like kind of over her eyes, and so since her eyes are not really open that much, there's going to be just a bit more shadow falling on them. Sorry that the color for this one is also red. I know the one for last week was red, but like I said, it's a demon, so I was like, the accent color has got to be red, right? I'm so sorry that it's red 2 weeks in a row. I think that the next one I'm gonna do is gonna be the angel. So there's not gonna be any red in that one. Hopefully, I'll be able to use blue. And so I feel like the contrast might suffer a little. Um, but it might look a little bit more cohesive with the cool grays and then the blue. Or maybe I'll go ahead and be a rebel and I'll use warm grays with the blue. Ooh, it's gonna be exciting. Oh, I'm so sorry. I skipped over the lips and my big old hand is covering up what I'm doing. So I'll just go ahead and describe what I'm doing. I'm also doing dark to light for the lips for the same reason I did for the hair and for the eyes. Okay. So I'm just putting down the darkest color for the lips, and then I'm going in with the mid-tone and going in with the highlight color in the center. And then for the top lip, personally, when I'm coloring lips, I like the top lip to be darker. I just like the way that looks, and I like the way that looks in real life. I just think it looks cute. So for the top lip, I'm going in with a darker red, and then I'm using the darkest red that I use for the bottom lip as the mid-tone color, and the mid-tone color for the bottom lip as the highlight color. Yeah, I just think that that's a cute look. And plus, she's a demon. She's got to have a bright red lip, you know what I mean? Okay, and so then after I go ahead and finish up the lips, we're gonna move on to the coloring of her bodice/shirt thing. Oh sorry, first we're gonna do the shadows in the eyes, which I already talked about. But after that, we're gonna go ahead and move into the coloring of her shirt. So I decided on the fly that I thought it would be cute if it was leather. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to color leather before. But it's not, personally, it's not exactly easy. It would have been easier if I had looked up a reference, but like I said, I was sweepy, so I didn't want to. So I didn't look up a reference. I kind of just went in with what I thought would look good. So since she has like shadow on what is the left side of her face from our point of view, I figured that the light was probably coming from the right side. And so I tried to put the highlights for the leather on the right side of her body, basically. And I shaded in the center, in between her breasts, because I was like, well, there's a separation there, right? So that's probably going to be where shadow falls. That was like the thought process. I don't think that's right. I'm pretty sure that I should have left, what's it called, the right side of her shirt. It should have been like the highlight area, but I didn't do that. As you can see, I'm just coloring it in. I feel like the brightest highlight should have been on the furthest side of her chest. But I already colored it, so it's too late. Uh-oh. And I did it dark to light just because I wanted a strong contrast. I keep saying contrast. I don't think that's really what I mean. I just wanted a strong highlight, basically, is what I mean. So I feel like it's easier to get that if you lay the darks first. So I just laid the darks down, and then I went over with the mid-tone, and then I went over with the lightest color. And so since it's leather can get like really, really bright highlights. So I did leave like a little bit of the center. I left some of it white, just so it has like that leather sort of look. You guys can tell me if it looks anything like leather. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I think it kind of just looks more like kind of like a satin, like a satin that's like divided in the middle and it's like pulled over, and you know how it has like those folds. Have you guys seen like a satin shirt that's like shiny and has like, you know what I mean, like when it's like stitched in the center so that way it has those weird folds? I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but that's what it looks like to me. Sorry if I'm starting to talk really fast, but we're getting to the end of the video and I kind of want to talk a little bit about the highlights in her eyes. So since this is kind of a small piece, I have a little bit of trouble getting those really tiny details without shoving my face into the paper. So if you guys do art, you know that when you want to do the highlights, you kind of tend to like put your face like right up to the paper so you can see what's going on. And I do wear glasses, and I did have my glasses on when I was doing this, and you're like, okay, so you should have been able to see it. And it's not so much about like distance or being able to see per se. I don't really know how to explain it, but I just want to get closer so that way I could, I I can see it better. You know what I mean? Like I can see it from a distance, but there's something about getting really up close so that way you can make the details like as crisp as you'd like. I've seen some artists, they have like those magnifying glasses, like you put them on your face and they like point down and they help you like get really up and close without shoving your face into the paper. I think those are a little silly, so I don't think I'm gonna invest in those, but they would probably help me a lot. So yeah, I'm just adding the highlights to her lips just because I like a shiny lip look. Just got like a nice little gloss on there. Some to her horns, even though it doesn't make sense because her horns are in shadow. I just think that it looks cute. Okay, not everything in your art has to make sense. Sometimes you just do stuff because it looks cute. And then I'm doing the little hearts in her eyes. I think the heart in the right eye came off better than the heart in the left eye, but you know, what are you gonna do? You know, when you can't shove your face directly into the paper, you struggle a little bit with getting the highlights exactly how you'd like them. Um, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put the little hearts on the cheeks. I wish I could tell you guys why I decided to put like the highlights where I decided to put them because there is like anatomy reasons for why I do that, but I am in fact running out of time for this video. Remind me to talk about it in the next coloring video that I do and when I do highlights. I'm just going over with a black pen because I went a little bit crazy with the highlight in that eye, and then I went ahead and added in this little upside down cross earring. I just think it looks cute. And I would have highlighted it, but I didn't want to. Alrighty, that's the end of the video. I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.